Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, and the process is over. What's up, Tom?
Not a whole lot, my guy. How are you?
I'm pretty good here. Nice little Tuesday episode we got going where we're always changing schedules, so nice little Tuesday. How you feeling? I know you said you were sick earlier.
Yeah, I've been battling a stomach virus. I'm actually going in on Thursday, I think it is, to go do like a little checkup thing. And Friday, I'm going to be out of the state, so we'll find time to record one
Yeah,
way or
yeah.
another.
I kind of wish I had a stomach virus. It would just get everything. I feel so stuffed up lately. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
whatever. um, so we didn't release the fantasy show last week. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually just release that as a series of videos, and we're gonna go back and edit it because once we recorded it, I kind of noticed, and I think you did too, Tom, that we were just like, this isn't necessarily a podcast. This could just be a video series. So we'll keep you updated along that, and we'll just come out with those as it happens. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing that for sure and keep going on that. Um, Also tonight, the draft lottery, which has somehow the NBA did something smart, and they basically turned a night of literally like gambling. Not gambling, but like watching a ping pong ball fly around for 5 minutes, and then you get to see every person who's representing each team. It's always great. It's big for the Cavs. We'll talk about it once we get down there, once we get down to the NBA. But yeah, other than that, I just hope England loses today because I think it'll be funny. Today in sports history, in 1865, it's the first class cricket debut of Dr. W.G. Grace. It seems like there's a lot of doctors and like really rich people in cricket. I think so. It's very odd. In 1899. The Louisville Colonels set a Major League Baseball record with their 26th consecutive loss. That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
I don't know how you lose that many. Like 1 in 26 times, you think you just like get lucky, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's cricket. I mean, you figure that there's a lot of movement of who's good and who's bad, just because I don't really understand the rules. So it's just got to be one of those sports, and I guess not.
Yeah, so
26 losses.
um.
Oh, did I wait? Did I tell you I was watching
cricket?
cricket?
You did miss that. You did miss it up. I was just gonna move on without it, but yeah, you did miss it up. We're talking about baseball.
Oh, I said baseball.
No, you said cricket. I don't think it would be possible to lose 26. Like,
well, I just saw the video. You know what? I was thinking about the video. The Diamondbacks broke their 20-game losing streak, and it was on my. Yeah, but I said cricket. I meant baseball.
I don't think you. I think 26 Quidditch. Jeez. I love Harry Potter.
I love it.
God, 26 cricket matches. I feel like that would just like take up your teenage years. Like 13 through 19, you're just 26 games straight of cricket.
Right. Did I tell you I was actually watching like about 20 minutes of a cricket match on Saturday on ESPN Plus.
Oh, really? Okay.
ESPN Plus. I was watching cricket because I was waiting for the baseball game to start up. Oh.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. It was beautiful.
I should have watched. I'm sure I could have found something online if I looked for it yesterday because there was no NBA or anything on last night, so I was pretty bored. But we'll get into the MLB pretty quickly here. There's the MLB is now like basically banning all these sticky substances, which I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I just don't. I think people are going to cheat in baseball no matter what. Like it just is. It's easy to do, or it's more easy to do in that sport. But this is just so stupid about the MLB now because I don't know if you said it, but I saw last week Tyler Glasnow, the pitcher for the Rays. He ended up getting hurt, and he didn't blame it all on because of he couldn't use 67, but he did blame some of it on that. And It's just so dumb because the MLB has known this has been going on for like 20 years, probably longer. And now that pitchers are doing so well, they just signed it should be a rule that should be implemented like next year. It just it doesn't make sense to do it right now. Like forcing pitchers to just basically change their whole entire routine in the middle of the year. I mean, we're going to see more injuries from it, and it's just another great example of the MLB just being dumb and doing the wrong things at the wrong time. What are you writing? You didn't look up. You haven't looked up once in 3 minutes.
I'm sorry. In all honesty, I'm catching up on the basketball games on my phone. I was looking at the scores.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been, yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah. No more really MLB other than I still don't watch the baseball team. I did see that. Who was it who tweeted? He was pissed off. It was one of the ESPN baseball guys, but so they came down with the rule, and then I guess like they were supposed to start enforcing it yesterday. And the first person they checked was Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they literally as he's walking out for the beginning of the game, he didn't even throw a pitch. It was the first inning for top of the first, and he's walking out. They're like, "Hey, can we see your glove, your hat?" They were looking under his belt, and he's like, "You want me to take it off?" And they were like, "No, that's okay." Like, and then he's still, oh, we're cracking down. We gotta look at DeGrom. Did it affect him at all?
No,
Not the slightest.
That's DeGrom. DeGrom's really good. I'm sure he probably uses sticky stuff too when he went back years ago. I mean, he's just so good it doesn't matter. But just the fact that they're now slowing down games more again by making the umpires check all these players for sticky substances. It's just baseball continues to just shoot itself in the foot constantly, and they never learn. So I don't feel bad for baseball. Like I said, I don't even recognize the baseball team in this city.
Well,
what? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the MLB wants to say that all of these really good pitchers are cheating. Like DeGrom in his first at bat versus Acuna, 100 to the corner of the top corner, 100 to the bottom corner, 100 to the top corner, 101 to the top corner on 3-pitch strikeout on Acuna. Like. I get the sticky substances are a thing in baseball and that they are something that needs to be kind of fixed, but like you gotta understand there are some guys that are using it and some guys that aren't. And like I guess there's not really too much of a consequence for checking on the guy, but like it slows down the game and the media blows it up a lot more now that they're like actually cracking down on it. So
I love that I love that you've just taken this topic and turned it into a Jacob DeGrom thing.
100%. Why wouldn't I?
That's fine. It's fine. You have every right to do that. I'm also going to disagree with you. I think every single pitcher in Major League Baseball uses some kind of substance to change their spin rate. I just think it's gone on for so long that I really just don't think it matters anymore. I think they have tried to modify the actual baseball so many times that it just doesn't matter. I mean, these guys. The glass on the guy who got hurt said he was getting used to using like sunscreen just as like a substance because it was all he really could find, and then they made them take that. It's just like baseball, like the NBA playoffs are going great, and once again, this is just the MLB burying news in burying like all their stories and everything else. But this is actually good because it's not in the news, but. I mean, in about a month, baseball is going to be the only sport on TV, and we're going to see Trevor Bauer getting checked every inning for a sticky substance. It's just,
that's just he's making a joke out of it. He's like having
the
baseball here. He's like, oh, is this illegal? Is this like?
I would too. I mean, the MLB is so incompetent that personally, I think they knew the Astros thing was going on for at least a year, if not more, and they just decided to basically every baseball fan in America would have been happy if they gave the Astros like a real punishment. But they used COVID to not do that, not give them a real punishment, and then the Astros got lucky because it was a shortened season, so they didn't get absolutely the Astros would have had hurt players last year because fans were going to heckle them and throw things at them, and they deserved it. Because I think if you get caught cheating at this point in the MLB, you're just like too obvious and being dumb about it. Because I think everyone does it. Everyone steals signs. Like saying a third base coach doesn't steal signs is crazy.
Well, like stealing signs is part of the game. It's not necessarily cheating because like the reason that the catchers do the thing with all the signs and everything inside is to try and hide what's coming. And that's just part of the game. But like the Astros stole signs in the wrong way.
Yeah, and I swear more than even football even more than the NFL, which is crazy because I think they mess that up all the time. But I at least think the NFL has their rules about it and why they do it. It just seems like whenever the umps go to replay, like about a foul ball, if it was fair foul, they just have no idea what to look for. They have absolutely no idea. I don't know if there was a commercial about football refs, but I remember a commercial where like they did like a parody of like the umps just circling up and talking to each other, just like, oh well, we got to waste 10 minutes to. The umpires didn't want the replay. I mean, everyone else wanted it, but they use it too much and they're not good at it. And once again, like, who really cares about the sticky situation? Like, for once, like the past 5 years combined have been all about offense. Like no one's really complaining that much now that no hitters are once again not happening every night. No one around baseball is really complaining as long as your team is an average team and doesn't have a terrible owner like my team. But that's different time, different subject. So it's just once again the MLB. I don't know what they're like. I would love to meet their public relations guy or like their social media man, executive, like because they just have to be so stupid. Like they have to. I mean, literally, all you have to do is like go NFL on Fox, and they will show you how to tweet about your sport. So it's just, and people, and they wonder why people are attracted to lacrosse and everything like that. Like I liked baseball, but now that the baseball team is terrible, I just can't do it. So, yeah. So I guess we kind of got to go into the Olympics a little bit because somehow it is happening. I got to tell you, if I was an athlete, I'd be pretty sketched out to go over there. I just don't. Whatever. But with obviously some current losses in the NBA, it looks like Harden and Durant have both. Harden and Durant are both going to play for Team USA as well as Devin Booker. Like I honestly think they should just pick college kids for this. I really do.
Well, that's actually what they used to do.
I really think they should just pick have like a group of like maybe not star players, but like one of the better players, just like a very above average, like because a lot of them that are going to go to the NBA, like maybe like if they had the Olympics last summer, like Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois would have been a great guy because he was just going to come back. He'll go in the first round. He'll be late first round. So if he would have got injured, it really, I mean, it sucks, but it wouldn't have mattered. So, but like for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to go play against countries like Greece and Italy, it's like it can't be fun. Like I mean, I guess that's not true because obviously shooting and seeing it go in the hoop is fun, but like I just don't I don't see the like whereas like in like world sports like soccer like obviously is different, but like the rest of the world is like nowhere near where America is in basically every sport, but especially in basketball, in football, and baseball mostly too. So I like, and I don't know why these guys decide to do it either. Like Durant, bro, Durant and Harden, guys, you guys were just hurt last year. Like maybe take some time off. Like so
Yeah, you guys couldn't stay on the court together. Maybe you should all rehab together and get that chemistry.
Yeah, and I got to also imagine that when that locker room gets together with the group of stars that there is right like now, it can't be. I mean, it's got to be a tensious locker room. Like everyone just hates each other. So I don't know if you have any other thoughts on it.
To say that the college people should be going, I agree. And like I think it was really stupid the reason that the NBA players got back into going over to the Olympics because the college players lost to some pros or whatever and like the gold medal game. And they were taunting us, so now we're gonna unleash the big dogs and we gotta represent America because we're the best at basketball. Like everyone knows that the NBA is the best basketball league. Everyone knows that you could go in there and kick their butts every year with the dream team and the dream team 2 and all that. But like that's not really what it's about. And in all honesty, I think it's a better scouting tool and a better recruiting tool to see college players go and play. And I'm not saying that the teams only have to be that. You could also get guys who are trying to revitalize their careers go play for it.
Exactly.
Like Emmanuel Mudiay was playing in the G League and stuff. Send him over to go play. See how he handles playing against. Because I feel like a lot of the foreign players that play in the NBA still go back and represent their country.
Oh, yeah.
They would probably enjoy it. So have him go play against those kind of guys like the Gasols. And so that he's got game.
It's not necessarily right to kind of judge it this way. But, I mean, Luka Doncic was the MVP of, like, the EuroLeague, whatever, before he came to the NBA. And now he's basically the MVP of the – I mean, he's the best player in the NBA probably. So it's on par. They're not far off like that. So but yeah, bring in these guys that just going to throw alley-oops and it just makes it no fun. And I think there's a lot of sports like that. But go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, what does anyone else get from seeing Kobe lob one up to Dwight Howard time after time after time after time after time? Like there's no point.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I just found out skateboarding is in the Olympics. I don't think it's like the tricks or anything. I think it's actually just racing. Team USA is supposed to be pretty good. I hope they're pretty good, but who knows? And then there's two kind of hypothetical questions. One of them isn't on there, but we'll talk about that one first because it's kind of serious. And then the second one, obviously, we'll get to in a sec. But so with the Olympics coming up, this always gets brought up, and I think I've come to the point where I am ready to like kind of make a stand on it. So obviously the UN's women's national team obviously ended up suing the soccer federation because of equal pay. And they won. I think, so they got equal pay. And they still kind of complain about it, but whatever. They got equal pay, that's fine. But it comes up every Olympics. It's like, why do women make less money than men in these sports? And like I said, I've been trying to come up with like a good answer about it, but now with like the NIL and everything, it's going to come out that like, and it already is pretty much a fact that everyone knows, but it's like people are too scared to say it, or I don't know. But like, men's sports are just more popular. They attract more money. Like the men's team, yes, probably like on the field of play, the women's team probably, just if we're going off skill, I mean, they should be 4 times paid what the men's team is, but the women aren't, because I mean, let's be honest. Like, I will watch a World Cup game if the U.S. isn't playing, or I watch Euros because I'm like that. I wouldn't think for 1 second to come to watch like a U.S. woman, like a women's World Cup game. I would never watch one. A women's soccer game, I would never watch one unless the U.S. was in it. So I understand the equal pay, and I get everything. But at some point, we have to, like, people need to realize that this is an age of business, and men's sports sells. Women's sports don't really sell. And that's nothing against women. They are great athletes. But men's sports sell and women's sports don't. And it hasn't been bugging me, but it's kind of just been like, I've been trying to come up with reasons like why they deserve equal pay. And I've kind of come to the point in this. I'm making this mostly around the men's soccer and women's soccer, just because that's the easiest analogy I can make. Like, I could be okay with the same salaries, but then you have to write in like which I'm sure they do, bonuses for just like reaching like popularity numbers, uh, like 2 million people watch the World Cup. So unfortunately, it's never going to be equal unless women's sports just randomly become more popular. But in my opinion, it's just never going to be equal because for whatever reason, men's sports. I mean, men's sports around the world have to bring in, I would say, triple, if not quadruple times the revenue that women's sports do.
Yeah, I don't have the hard numbers or anything like that, but I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's awesome going and seeing the women's soccer team go and kick butt every year. I look forward to it. I personally go and watch it whenever they're playing because it's the best American soccer that you can find. But the men's TV deals are bigger for whatever reason that the execs kind of decide. Not anything that we can do, but the TV
Because
deals
people
are
watch
bigger.
it, because people watch them.
Yeah, and just around the world, it's not as the same here as here in America. So I understand and like I empathize for it, but you're right. There's really not a whole lot we can try and do to make it equal, even if we are like pushing for it here in America.
And this may be a little bit insensitive, but like I said, I don't really care at this point. If in 10 years the men's national soccer team is like top 15 and actually like somewhat of a kind of contender in the world, do you think anyone's going to be talking about the UN's women's team? Because I don't. I mean, they'll still talk about them when they win things, but if the U.S. men ever get to the level of like an England or like just like a top 10 team perennially in the world, whatever. I'll move on, but I think I've made my point. This is a better question. This is a hypothetical. This is also great.
Okay.
How easy or hard? Because there's so many Olympic sports. How easy or hard? I think we'll get to it, but how easy or hard do you think it would be to go to like some small, really, really small, like I don't know, like Myanmar or like something like that, really small country, and like just convince like one of the cities or wherever, like whatever it is there, that for the next 50 years, like you're just going to train newborns how to play curling or badminton or something. And then Myanmar in 20 years becomes like worldly known for badminton.
Powerhouse. Yeah.
Like, I think it would be honestly kind of easy. And I think that would be a great career path.
You can be the coach. You can make all the money.
Yeah, exactly. And then if it ever, like, hopefully it ever picks up, like it gets more popular, you're like a god. Like people will be traveling to see you in Myanmar to learn how to play badminton. So
People will name children after you.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes. So I just think that would be awesome. I think it could be done, like, because it always is brought up, like with like the men's soccer team, like if for 10 years like the NFL shut down, and like for 10 or 15 years we just trained all of our, not necessarily trained, they can still play basketball or whatever, but football doesn't exist and they have to play soccer in the fall. I would think that like,
yeah,
if we take like the NBA rookies right now or the NFL rookies right now, and then like do that right now for the next 5-6 years, I think we'd be number one in the world.
Yeah.
Like
if the athletes stopped choosing the NFL because that's where you make a lot of money, for a fall sport, and they had to focus on soccer, they would put that time, energy, and effort that they put into the NFL into putting in soccer, and then you have more athletes in soccer.
Yeah, in
I'm about this. We're gonna start a movement.
No, I totally agree. Don't get me started because I'm in the process of developing my own offense for soccer that's different from the rest of the world. So here's my thought.
All right.
The United States, no matter what happens, when you're born, you're going to wake up and it's like you're just not going to know soccer. You don't know soccer. If you're in Europe and you go like you know soccer from a young age, you know how it's played. So the best way for the U.S. to do it is just do it a completely different way. And my thoughts are, I'm like something with like fast pace that would catch on in America. Like instead of like doing the slow methodical soccer, the U.S. just every time they get the ball, they just go forward and push, and they just every time. And if they give up goals, they're like, whatever, just get it out and keep pushing and pushing. I want 100 shots on goal a game. We can give up if we give up less than 15, that's a win. So
it's like the Chino Hills offense, or what was the guy's name in the D2 where it's like put up as many shots as possible.
Oh, I know what you're talking
3 second shot clock.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's 7 seconds. It's what the
7
Suns used to
seconds.
use. Yes,
Yeah.
it's what I use in 2K, of course.
7 seconds. Just put in as many shots, and if you give up a score, whatever.
And
keep it going.
And I'm telling you right now, there will be no passing out. Like if the defense steals the ball, we're not passing out through the game, through the offense, through the midfield. We're taking our big kicker, and he's just going to boot it down to our 6'9" guys. We're going to head it down, and our really fast guys are just going to keep shooting. I think it could work.
When I'm playing FIFA, I shoot from way outside the box. I shoot from midfield if I'm going to lose the ball. That sounds like the offense. That sounds like me when I play FIFA.
That clearly you're not very good at FIFA. So.
I'm not. That's why I don't play it often.
I haven't got the new one in 2 years. I used to play it, but I don't.
Just like every other sports game, though, I am much better at defense in that game than I am offense.
That's impossible.
I don't know what it is.
I'm telling you, that's not possible. You're better at defense in FIFA.
I can't score for the life of me, but I also make it so that no one else will score.
So what you're doing is you're literally doing like a nightmare for U.S. soccer fans, like you people as fans of soccer in the United States. Like if you wanted to like blacklist soccer in the United States, if the United States started playing like that, like they were really good on defense but they could never score, soccer would be lucky to get on TV once a month.
There's nothing I can do about it because I'm not going to put in any time to try and get better at scoring in FIFA. It's the same thing with Chell.
I'm not arguing with you. I mean, if someone hates, like someone in this country just really hates soccer, this is the egg you need to hatch a plan that is going to shut down soccer in the United States. So
100%. If they know where to find me, I'll send them my FIFA film.
Or new idea, better idea. Instead of forming my own offense for soccer, we invent a new sport, which is soccer, but like you get points for like a sweet pass. And this is just FIFA Street Soccer, so never mind. All right. I thought we'd get off topic for a little bit and have a little fun.
Check the box, we did.
All right, now on to the NFL. Wow, I spelled his name wrong. So, Carl Nassib, the Raiders defensive end, came out as the first openly gay active player. Good for him. Good for him. I don't really have much to say about it. Good for him. I could care less who you love, why you love, but like,
love's love, man.
I've said this a million times. I don't care, honestly, if you're a murderer. If you're not in jail and Roger Goodell lets you play on my team and you help my team win a Super Bowl, I don't really care. So I'm not gonna like write nice things about you, but I don't really care.
I mean, yeah. I mean, good for him. I'm, proud that he could. Proud. I'm grateful that he felt that he was comfortable enough to kind of express it and everything. Good for you, man. Love's love, and congratulations is all I can really say.
I know Randy put it in the group chat yesterday, like, who wants to take this piece? And I was sitting there. I was like, I wouldn't touch this piece with a 10-foot pole. It's just. I think there are a couple topics nowadays in media that like
I don't want to cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too over politicized, and I remember I told my dad that I was like, no, I said I'm not touching that. He's like, yeah, you can't. Like, it's a lose-lose situation. Like either you come out and it's a good article and you're like, that's great, and people will criticize you that way, or people will criticize you the other way. So,
Yeah, I saw it. Ryan was like, "Oh, come on, someone should want this piece." I'm like, I'm not trying to get hit one way or the other today.
yeah.
So, anyway, we can move on.
So I know Aaron Rodgers is on there. Any new news with Aaron Rodgers?
Not that I've heard. I just know that more and more people are coming out saying that are close with him, saying, "Yeah, like we all know he's not going to budge if he doesn't want to. So like expect him to take this as far as he can before the result kind of comes out." So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to say if any day now we hear anything, but like I won't be surprised if a move is made in the future. That's very vague, but that's all we really have.
Once again, I think they're just I think they're stuck at an impasse, and I don't think there's any way out of it. So, whatever. Has Stephon Gilmore showed up for camp yet?
He's the one. I have no idea. Apparently, he's quote unquote in town, but he's still dealing with that quad injury, so I don't think he was supposed to come to camp because I think he either had surgery or he's like resting from something. So I'm not sure if he's at camp or not, but I don't think so.
Yeah, he's in town, doesn't have any restrictions with the quad, so he should be practicing. I'm
that's
reading,
all I got.
go to the next one for the NFL and start. I'm reading something real quick about.
I had brought this to you last night, but Zaven Collins was arrested for recklessly driving. It was reckless driving, so they released him like a little bit after he got taken into the station, and we were kind of talking about it. I wasn't feeling too one way or the other. The only thing that I really had to comment on it was like, this isn't really a great start to your NFL career and to your media persona. It's like, how are the Cardinals going to advertise you if this is the first thing that you do once you're in the spotlight? And I'm sure they're going to find a way, and everything's going to go over like it was just reckless driving or whatever. But it's interesting to kind of see where they're going to go from here when they're marketing him and featuring their first round pick in their media posts and such.
Yeah, no matter what it is, it's just not a good thing that your first introduction to the NFL is getting arrested. Yeah. So we haven't been covering this because I guess I'm sure you knew about it. I just hadn't thought of it. Xavier Howard is also holding out in Miami. And they think that's going to play a big, and it makes sense. It's going to play a big factor in Gilmore's holdout, because obviously Xavier Howard is the 6th highest corner in the NFL. He's probably one of the top 4 or 5 corners in the NFL.
Right.
But he signed a new deal in 2019, and he's only making, I think he's making like $15 million a year, which is still insane. But
yeah, you said he's like 6th highest paid.
Yeah, but he's not as high as the other ones. He wants to renegotiate it, and but so either I highly doubt the Dolphins will trade him. I just you can't with how good of a season they've had last year, and not how good they missed the playoffs, but how good they've looked and how their things look to be building. I mean, half the reason that defense is so good is because they have 2 lockdown corners.
Well, and I really don't think that this is actually a money issue. If you're a guy and you sign a deal 2 years ago, makes you at the time was as a top 5 corner, still almost a top 5 paid corner in the league. 6 is still really good, and they need the money elsewhere. But to me, when he's complaining about money at this point after just signing this contract, that's code. It's not about money. That's code for I just don't want to be a Dolphin anymore. I think he's really done with Miami, so I actually wouldn't be super surprised if they end up trading him in the long run. But I'm not saying that they're going to trade him in the near future or anything. But this goes on for another 2-3 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him because I think he's really done with the organization and just tired of Miami.
Well, I gotta tell you then, if I'm New England and I'm not gonna end up paying Gilmore, I'd get him out of there as soon as I can because if Xavier Howard hits that market, nobody's gonna want Stephon Gilmore.
No, and you're number one, no one's going to want Stephon Gilmore. But number two, that you're just giving you're once they're going to all go for Xavier Howard first. That also adds more time for teams to kind of fix their corner situations. I know Richard Sherman's still talking around with a lot of teams. There's still some other guys that are around. There's some other guys in the trade circles. So you got to get moving on a trade if you're not going to pay him. Stephon Gilmore, I'm talking about. Xavier Howard, you got to find a way to mull things over because he is a very good player, and is he still young-ish? I want to say
27.
Yeah, he's still a young corner, and you're getting him for a good deal, and you've had him forever. And you, like you said, part of their success is having those 2 or 3 lockdown corners, and I mean, you can't afford to pay him more because you need the money for cap space elsewhere.
He is a player that I think, if I'm the Dolphins, I need a first-round pick and obviously more, but I think I need a first-round pick.
Yeah, that's like because the
a corner, like a corner that young, like even though it's the NFL and we talk about how dumb the draft picks and the trading are, I think that's a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, and he's one where he have a high. I feel like he's like always up there in the interception numbers every year.
I mean, last year he just kind of broke out really most of it. So, but
I'm gonna pull up his stats just because I'm curious. You can talk for a minute.
Yeah, we talked about Aaron Rodgers. The Browns are working on extensions for Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward. There's a report that Baker could be next. He's going to take, reportedly, going to take lower money, sign the extension now. I don't really believe it. He's kind of bet on himself his whole life, so he's going to bet on himself this year. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the NFL.
Well, I'm looking again, just going back to it. Xavier Howard came into the league in 2016. Started his first time in 2017 where he had 4 interceptions. The next year, 2018, he had 7 interceptions. 2019, he got hurt. He played 5 games. And then last year, he had 10. So this is a guy who has never gotten in a full – well, and that year that he had 7, he only played in 12 games. So this is a guy who, when he plays all 16 games, he had a low of 4, but he's averaging like – almost double digits in recent years.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely a first-round pick in my opinion, and probably more. But once again, if I'm the Chiefs, I'll trade my first-round pick in a second. If I'm the Browns, I wouldn't. If I'm the Browns, just because I like our 2 corners and they're new now, so we'll see. But I mean, if I'm 1 corner short, and I don't know, maybe. I feel like we bring these guys up a lot in these kind of situations, but it wouldn't shock me if the Cardinals tried to make a move for somebody.
They need some secondary help. We were both surprised when they took Zaven Collins instead of getting one of the corners. They lost.
Saved the Browns draft pretty much. I mean, not saved it. It was a really good draft, but I mean, basically the only reason we got Newsome.
You know, they lost Patrick Peterson. I don't know who they have as their corners right now, but they definitely could use a young guy like Collins to add into that young defense.
Howard, you mean?
Howard. I was thinking him and Collins.
All right. So we're going to roll into the NBA playoffs. And what a weekend. And Tom, you know what? I'll let you pick. Do we want to talk Nets, Sixers, or Suns first?
We have to talk about the Nets. I mean, what the hell happened? Because this was supposed to be the unbeatable team this year, and you lost to a team that perennially chokes in the playoffs.
Yes, And how they lost that, I mean, Drew Holiday was like 2 for 17, and Chris Middleton was like 5 for 21. So how they lost that be that buzzer beater by not buzzer beater, whatever, it was close to buzzer beater by Kevin Durant was incredible. But then deciding to do the same exact shot in overtime and airballing it also was hilarious and terrible. But I mean, we talked about it last week. That's why you don't build these. Like James Harden would have. I mean, I don't really know how to go in on the Nets, but James Harden didn't need to be in that game. Like, if they were going to get one player back for the playoffs, if they would have moved on, I guarantee you they wish it would have been Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving at least brings a little bit of value to the rest of the team. James Harden was out there. I forgot how horrible it is to watch like a James Harden when all he's trying to do is get foul calls. It's horrible to watch.
He was 5 for 17, 2 for 12 on threes.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, we'll obviously get to Ben Simmons in a minute, but I mean, it's unbelievable that I mean, we talked about it again last week. Like, I just don't understand why they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Why was James Harden the guy to go after? Like, go after Karl Anthony. I think we talked about go after Karl Anthony Towns. Go after Karl Anthony Towns. Embiid. I don't know. Gobert. Go after someone that brings a different element to the team other than the same thing that the other two bring. And I give it to Kevin Durant. He was incredible. The air ball was funny. But then the last thing I really have to say about Kevin Durant and the Nets is after the series, Kevin Durant is allowed to be in the same breath as LeBron James. But this is once again, why LeBron James is so much better than all of the other guys that have done this. I mean, he got to the finals the year they beat the Warriors and won the championship. He got to the finals by himself. So
that's true. I'm looking at the box score here. If you're really looking for what went wrong with the Nets, like it can just be you can look in the minutes column. Kevin Durant played 53 minutes in that game. James Harden played 53 minutes in that game. Bruce Brown played 52 minutes of that game. Joe Harris played 47. Blake Griffin played 40. The next guy was Jeff Green, played 13, which I think was overtime because Blake Griffin didn't play all 53 or whatever it was. But
no, it's 48, so 53 would be plus the overtime. So 53 means they played the entire game without having a rest.
Kevin Durant and James Harden both did that. Blake Griffin didn't play 13 minutes in the whole game. Jeff Green filled in the 13 minutes, and Landry Shamet got 7. Why was DeAndre Jordan hurt?
He doesn't fit with that team.
Well, then that's a problem because you can't have 3 guys. They have 3 guys here that played 52 minutes or more. Kevin Durant, James Harden played 53. Bruce Brown played 52 minutes. Then you had Harris and Griffin both 40 or more, and then you had 2 guys play less than 20. It didn't matter if he fits the team or not. You put him out there to give them a break so that people can stay fresh.
Yeah, and 2 kind of things here. I mean, all the teams in the past that have built super teams, kind of except for the Warriors, because it really didn't matter what the Warriors did because they were all good shooters. But when the Cavs built their super teams, when the Celtics originally did, like they got the 3 stars and then they picked perfect role players. So then if you look at this, the Nets, Kevin Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, Joe Harris is a great 4th option, but I would rather have a Jarrett Allen than a Joe Harris because all 3 of those guys can shoot threes. Like, instead of having Blake Griffin and down low with Kevin Durant, like how about you? How about after Andre Drummond got bought out from the Cavs, you sign him? Like,
Well, and what did they trade Jared Allen for? I can't hear what you're saying. I still don't hear you. Are you muted? No. I'll look it up.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, there you go.
Why did they trade for him?
That he was part of the Harden trade.
Oh, he was part of the hard trade.
Yeah.
That's difficult then.
Yeah. So I just they built a team. They built a team without thinking about, which is incredibly stupid, but without thinking about the playoffs and the toll that playing all these minutes would have on guys. Because, like we said, there's really not been a huge offseason. They've been going and going and going. And, I mean, you need to at least have five. If you're going to have a super team, you need to have 5 other players that are capable of doing their roles. And they just didn't have anybody for it.
Yeah,
It's like they
7 people.
It's like they got their starting 5 and then they were like, well, we'll just figure it out from here. So they were terrible. I mean, they were good. The only thing I'll say about the Bucks is, and I really hope the Hawks beat them, and I actually think they will eventually. Like, I could sit here and rip on Giannis all day, and I will continue ripping Giannis all day. And like I said, we're going to get to Ben Simmons next. If you can't shoot, you're worthless to me.
Well, I'm
if
looking
you
at
can't
the box
shoot,
scores.
if you can't shoot, you're not a superstar, I guess I'll say.
I mean, 2 for 6 isn't great, but it's also like kind of league average. And I know he doesn't do it on a consistent basis, but like if you're in a game 7 big time game and you're shooting 33 from 3, that's not horrible. But the fact that you're shooting 3 or 6 times from 3 is not the best. But you look at the whole stat sheet, the whole Bucks team didn't shoot from 3. I mean, a 7, a 5, a 9, a 6, and a 4 and a 5. Like, they're not a 3-point shooting team.
Yeah, but that brings me to my one point about Giannis. So before when the Nets call that timeout in regulation or whatever happened, and they get the ball. First of all, everyone knows the ball is going to Kevin Durant. Why is Giannis not guarding him? Why? Like, literally fine. If you want to make an argue for Giannis as a superstar, you'll probably beat me in that argument. If you're a superstar, you guard that best player. Like, that is what Giannis does. That is what he is good at. If you don't trust him to do that for like 3 seconds in a playoff series that decides your season, you're not a star player. Like, I just don't know why Giannis didn't guard him. That makes no sense. Like, if there was 10 or 15 seconds on the clock, I might have understood it, just because then Kevin Durant has time to pull him out and break him down, because Giannis, other than his big steps, I mean, Giannis, first of all, his handles are the worst handles in the world, A, and B, he gets tripped up all the time. So Kevin Durant, I understand at that point of view, but when there's 2 seconds left and literally all you have to do is either like just let Kevin Durant catch it and just put your hands or just wave them, and it's gonna be like 90% of the time it's gonna be fine. So I just have no idea why Budenholzer was like, yeah, we're gonna have Chris Middleton guard KD. Granted, KD is about 6'11", almost 7 feet now, and Chris Middleton is 6'9". So I don't know why he didn't, but yeah, we are running. Oh, you got to leave by 2, right?
Yeah, we got a little time.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, well, I know, but I still want to get you out of here so you have time to do stuff. So on to the Sixers, and I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. What movie is that from?
What?
Ghost Search.
Is it a basketball movie?
Football.
Then I want to.
What?
Then I want to say Remember the Titans.
No, 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. Oh, wait. I don't know. That's either from Miracle or Any Given Sunday. I think I'd mixed two of the speeches together. So, all right, we're going to move on. All right. Stop. All right. So, yeah, with the Sixers, I don't know what to do. Like, that wasn't just a loss. That was it was at home, which, as bad as the fans have been, I respect the fans in Philly just for throwing things and not caring anymore. Because, like I said, that wasn't a loss. That was literally like when Sam Hinkie, like almost 12 to 10 to 12 years ago, like talked to the fans, says it's going to be a process, but we will find the end. And for the past 2-3 years, you're a Sixers fan, like you're thinking, yes, we're right on the cusp, we're going to get it. And then this series happens.
And all hell breaks loose.
I mean, the process is over. I mean, it was literally, say you're a diehard Sixers fan, you've been waiting for like this year for a decade. And you get so far only to realize that your superstar 6'10" point guard is mentally, physically, and mentally incapable of shooting a basketball. I'll let you take the floor. Oh yeah, I have one clip. Everyone's seen it. When he gets scared by Trae Young and passes it to Tobias Harris. First of all, just before I started, it's gonna take a second start anyways. But watch Seth Curry in the background.
Seth.
Yeah, he's like right behind it. You can see it. So this is hopefully when he gets pulled up. This is the video of Ben Simmons passing up a wide open dunk. Ben Simmons 6'10", Trae Young 6'1" on the list, but we don't know really. But I mean, when he did that, and that, all right, we'll get into it here. It should be coming.
Let's see, 6'10", 230.
Oh, I hear it.
Foul as Thibault goes to the basket. Boy, Simmons, uncontested, had a.
Yeah, you got to restart.
Cleared out for him. Backing his way in. Spins on Gallinari. Gives it up.
Oh, you can't see.
And a foul as Thibault goes to the basket. Boy,
yeah, it's like frame skipping.
Cleared out for him. Backing his way in. Spins on Gallinari. Gives it up. Oh, it was right there. And a foul as Thibault goes to the basket.
Hey, he had like a whole.
Uncontested, had a layup, but he leaves it for Thibault. Who makes something out of it and is headed to the line.
Well, but that's when you know that the game is in your head. That's a dunk for Ben Simmons right there.
Oh my God, that is atrocious. I didn't see that clip. What are you doing? Oh, whoa.
And I want to feel bad for Ben Simmons. I kind of do, but for like the first time, I don't feel bad for the player. I feel bad for their fans. I actually do. I don't really like Philly fans, but I actually feel bad for them a little bit. I mean, this was, and Ben Simmons is going to take the brunt of the blame, and he should. I think I've said it now 3 straight podcasts with this, but like, you've been training probably since you were about 10 years old to be in the NBA. And over those 15 years, you couldn't figure out how to just make like 1.5 out of 2 free throws. Like, it blows my mind. But other than Ben Simmons, Doc Rivers.
Well, no, I want to talk about Ben Simmons for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
he signs a massive contract, which we'll get to in a later date after your Doc Rivers thing. Signs a massive contract. He's going to be the face of the franchise with Joel Embiid. It's the two of them. You play for 36 minutes on a guy who is almost a foot smaller than you. 36 minutes. You take 4 shots, go 2 for 4 on those shots, and score 5 points in the biggest game of your season. 5 points from a star player, from a supposed top point guard in the league. 5 points. How bad do you have to be to not even get up 10 shots? I mean, Seth Curry got 10 shots up. Well, Shake Middleton put up 3. He had 1 less shot than star player Ben Simmons.
Seth Curry was the only pretty much good player on that floor yesterday. Simmons sucked. Embiid was great at times, but also, once again, going back to Doc Rivers, they had no offense. They clearly had no plan on offense. Joel Embiid shooting threes from the top of the key and jumpers from the top of the key can't be what your offense is. Also, Joel Embiid was just sloppy. And then, I mean, if you have any final, we'll get back to the Clippers or not the Clippers, but the Sixers at some point. But if you have anything else to say about the Sixers before we move on to the Hawks.
Did you want me to go through his contract? Because I know you had.
Yeah, we're running a little late. Just tell me what it is.
So next season, he's going to get $33 million. The year after that's $35 million. 2023 is $37 million. And 2024 is $40 million until he's a free agent in 2025. They have him for the next 5 years.
I didn't know that, and now that I'm thinking, like, they have to find a way to get out. I'm not kidding. Like, it's going to be nearly impossible to trade him with that contract. Like, for the sake of his well-being, Ben Simmons should not play in Philadelphia next year. Like, he won't mentally be able to handle it, and who knows? Philly fans are crazy, so physically there could be an issue. Yeah, I didn't know he was. I didn't know he like literally just signed his max. Yeah, buyer's remorse. I don't know. Like that's
this was the first year of his new contract. 5 years, $177 million, and his trade value has gone through the floor with his performance. Like he's still going to be an asset because he can move the ball well for a guy of his size.
And it's the same thing that happened with Markelle Fultz. He's only 24 years old, so someone's going to look at him as a bargain and think that they can change him shooting. Which, because he's only 24, there's a possibility he could have a working jump shot in 5 years or even like 3 years. It's possible, but I don't think it'll happen. Like I don't think Ben Simmons, unfortunately for him, I think he's out of basketball after that contract's out.
Unless he turns it around.
Yeah, because because if he gets to the end of that contract and he still hasn't developed shot or anything like that, like there's literally no reason for a team to sign him.
Well,
no, that's not true. But
let me understand. Why is he still playing point guard? He should be down low where he doesn't have to shoot. He can be the 6'10" guy underneath, putting up layups and dunking.
But once again, he can't dunk because he's scared of 6'1" people. But
that's true.
No, his role, if he does play beyond this contract, his role will be I can't think of Tony no, Matt Barnes kind of too. Like he'll be a defensive stopper in his early 30s, and he'll be a great role player that will be able, but he'll be coming off the bench and things like that. So yeah, but for his well-being, I don't think he should be in Philadelphia next year. I just don't. But now over to the Hawks. Wow. Kevin Huerter was insane.
Kevin Herter popped off.
He has the sweetest nickname, Red Velvet. Like,
ooh, okay, I like that.
Yeah, when you have red hair, like your nickname could either be horrible or great. He got really lucky. Yeah, he just earned himself, or I don't know if he earned it. Well, he earned it in the game yesterday, but we'll see over the long term. But yeah, he earned himself at least probably $20 million extra dollars a year from that performance. Which, hey, good for him. I'm all about it. That's awesome. Trae Young may have had the worst game I've ever watched, while still at the same time I was absolutely fascinated with him, because like and that just goes to show you that like I would much rather have a guy like Trae Young. We're not talking body types or anything like that. Like I would much rather have a guy that has the mindset like Trae Young than Ben Simmons. Like, because Trae Young is going to miss, and he's going to miss, and then he's going to miss again, and then he's going to miss again, but he's not going to stop. He's going to keep shooting. And he hit that big three at the end, and obviously he was still able to help his team dishing the ball, which I'll give Simmons credit. He did have 12 assists or 13 assists, so that's good. But yeah, I mean, that's why you just have such a like having that attitude like Trae Young over Ben Simmons is it's the epitome of why Trae Young's Hawks are moving on and why Ben Simmons' Sixers are going hope just away forever. But yeah, John Collins is now awesome. And you have to remember with the Hawks, they aren't they don't have their best defensive player. DeAndre Hunter, second-year player out of Virginia. So
is he second or is he a rookie?
Third. He was. No, he wasn't on the team that won the title, or was he? He might have been on one of the teams that won the title. I don't know. But yeah, he's a second or third-year player, and then probably their best shooter off the bench, Cam Reddish.
I was just going to ask about it because I'm looking at the minutes. I saw they both didn't play. I was like, what, did they just not trust him? That's what I was curious about.
Hunter usually starts. Like Herter doesn't start. Hunter usually starts.
That's going to change.
Yeah, and then and then Reddish comes off the bench. So yeah, and then that just brings me back to Philly fans. Like I just don't know how you respond after this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they not only did they beat you in 7 on your home court, not only did you have 2 of the worst collapses in NBA playoff history, one probably the worst. And yeah, then you look at the Hawks and realize that the Hawks were like 4 or 5 months ago were in 13th place in the East. So, and yeah, I mean, as a Sixers fan as well, you look at it like they also didn't have 2 of their most important players, and we still lost. So I don't know where Philly goes. I think it's great. I want to tell the NBA this: if they want my viewership for the rest of my life, if you give me a Suns Hawks NBA Finals, I will. I'll guarantee you one thing: I will watch next year.
That's right. Take it a year at a time.
Yeah, and even I will probably watch more next year. I've been very impressed with the young players that have been able to catch my attention. And it's what we talked about. We talk about it, and like it's happening in all the different sports. It's just these young guys are finally overtaking these older guys, and I just hadn't kind of gotten into it in basketball. But now with guys like Trae Young, and then we'll move out west. I mean, Devin Booker is insane. I know I tweeted it. I was kind of half-heartedly joking, kind of not. Devin Booker's performance in these playoffs through, obviously, Game 1 yesterday, so through 2 series in 1 game, has been better than any of Steph Curry's run in the playoffs.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
it's not true, probably, but I'm just going to keep saying that because people also have to realize Steph Curry. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to let this. I'm not going to let him bring me down. I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah.
But what Devin Booker did yesterday was insane. I was so close. I don't know if you saw it, but on Flurry, I posted an article about like how campaign like no one's going to ask him to be Chris Paul, but actually, if they did, he's kind of capable of it, and he kind of showed that in the game. It sucks. I did put out a 3-way parlay. Devin Booker over 8 assists. That was easy money. DeAndre Ayton 20 plus points. That was easy money. Campaign 15 plus points. Only had 11.
Yeah,
so I was very close. He did look good though. I don't know if they sweep through the Clippers, but if Kawhi, I know Kawhi's out again tonight, and so is Chris Paul. If the Suns win this one and Kawhi doesn't come back for Game 3, I think they could sweep them. I don't know what's stopping the Suns at this point.
Oh, at least to make it to the final. You're saying.
And the only thing is, I think that the Bucks could probably beat the Suns, and I think the Suns. But even though, because I do want to see a Hawks Suns, I think the Suns would have a major edge because Chris Paul, if he's back, then I guess we don't know for sure, but you would think he'd be out of protocols by then. But then again, never know he could be actually hurt then, so who knows? But Chris Paul is a very, 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 very good defender. So he should be able to not neutralize, but at least somewhat take care of Trae Young. But like I said, what the Suns are doing out west, I tweeted again. I said I would trade everybody on the team and the 6th pick for DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. I would. We could play with 2, or we'll sign some veterans to the minor contract. I don't know, but it's just so awesome seeing the Suns be so good, and just because they basically built it through the draft, and then they just got lucky and got Chris Paul in a really good year. But and I think because I still think Chris Paul is like the leader of that team, and he's still like their heart and soul. But I think there's such an age difference between him and Devin Booker, where Chris Paul can almost just be like, "Yeah, I'm the leader, but we all know you're the best player."
No, and I think he knows that. In all honesty, he's known that everywhere he's been. Like when he was the young buck on the Hornets, he knew like, "Hey, I'm going to be a leader, and I'm not going to get too drunk with the power and the spotlight that I'm going to have." When he went over to the Clippers, yeah, he was there. He was a big leader, but he was trying to give a lot more of the spotlight to Blake Griffin because he was the hot guy of the week. Then from there, did he go to the Thunder from the Clippers? Or no, he went to the Rockets.
Yeah,
where he knew that James Harden was
where it's showing even more proof that James Harden is the flawed one in this situation, considering how good Chris Paul has looked with Devin Booker.
Right. Well, and even going back to last year, the Thunder, or the year before, whenever it was, when he left Houston to go to the Thunder, didn't he make him a playoff team with a bunch of young guys?
The Thunder?
Yeah. Did he make it? Or they were at least in contention. I know they were close.
Yeah, they were in contention last year because they got really I think they got lucky or whatever.
Well,
they got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he was really good last year. He's the point guard now, but yeah, he was really good. He made the Thunder not terrible last year.
He made the Thunder not good by being a leader and helping them develop while being in the spotlight and then passing the spotlight on. Like, Chris Paul is one of the guys that I have always followed. When I said I was checking the score, I was coming and check the Suns because I thought he was playing, and I saw him on Instagram and I was like, oh, he's not there. But I have Chris Paul's Wake Forest jersey. I love everything about Chris Paul, and he's the exact kind of player that the NBA should be modeling after, instead of guys taking over the spotlight and everything.
Let's slow that down a little bit. He does like to hit other players in their private areas. He's kind of a dirty player, but at the same time, I respect him. He has to be a dirty player if you're that short.
He's
and considering your elbow might just be at that level on some of those guys,
Right. So. I love Chris Paul. I've always loved Chris Paul.
Yes, I think this is good for him. Yeah, it's awesome. The only
Flip side of the coin, though, I wanted to just touch on the Clippers.
Yes.
Why is it whenever Paul George or whenever Kawhi Leonard is out, Paul George plays like Paul George that they thought they were getting?
He has to. And I actually think Ty Lue doesn't really get a ton of credit for Cleveland's championship, which that's fair. I mean, it was LeBron. But him and Chauncey Billups have done an amazing job with Paul Pierce because they basically took on two stars. And if you think about it, but they were taking on two stars in something in a way that was different than any other team had done it, because neither one of those guys is a primary ball handler. So basically, they saw Reggie Jackson is a very good defender, but he's getting old and things like that. So basically, what Chauncey Billups and Ty Lue basically did last year is they tried to teach Paul George how to be a point guard, basically, like what he should be looking for. And this year, it's finally like coming alive. I think if Kawhi does come back in the series, I think they have a really, really good chance to win, because if Paul George is going to play like that with Kawhi, granted, we don't know if he will play like that, and that we'll see. But no, what the Clippers have done with Paul George I've been impressed.
Yeah, well, I really would like to see him play like that with Kawhi, because we've made fun of him on here. Playoff P, he's back again. He was playing like crap, But yeah. If he can show up like that with Kawhi and they can actually contest the Suns, things will look up for the next couple of years.
This is not really off topic, but kind of. I think Kawhi would be a horrible teammate.
Why?
I mean, I'd rather have a teammate that bitched at me constantly and told me about my mistakes and tried to make me better than a guy who just says nothing the entire game. That's one of the reasons, in my opinion, he isn't really on the same level as the other superstars, is because he's not a vocal leader. And that's not it's not his fault. He has nothing to do with it. But as a player, you want your best player to be the leader out there, and he just isn't. So
I don't know if he's a great leader per se, but the guys who come out of the locker room and they're he's kind of the guy that was talking to people after the game. And so I think he likes to be, and this isn't really groundbreaking, but he's a guy who is a little more quiet, a little more personal, a little more reserved. He likes to go and do those one-on-one things kind of off camera and off set almost. Mm-hmm. So he'll go and talk to guys in the locker room. But yeah. When you're in a game and you got to get someone's mind right, you see Draymond Green go over to James Wiseman, tell him to keep shooting and doing that. That's really good in the game and everything. And Kawhi doesn't do that, I agree. But I don't know if that necessarily makes him a bad leader, because he does help him off court and off camera and all that stuff.
Yeah, speaking of guys who don't deal with those guys well, I mean, Steph Curry basically almost wanted to kill Nico Mannion earlier this year, though. So someone should throw him in jail. But yeah, no, Kawhi is just he's
quiet. It's how you're
quiet, and I also do kind of, when I think about Kawhi, I always do think about him leaving Toronto and him leaving the Spurs and all the weird situations that he I feel like Kawhi at this point is a guy who you could be you could call him and be like, yo, I'm your third cousin from your brother Steve's part of the family. And he would be like, yeah, you can come over. Oh, yeah, I'll buy you an apartment. His dad or his uncle was the only reason he went to L.A. So I just think he has a weird way of doing things, but I'll give him credit. He keeps it all behind closed doors, so good for him. I just think it's probably a weird way to do it. The last thing on the Suns, it's really good that one of the Kardashian Jenners has found love. It's good. I'm really happy.
The curse is broken, man. I mean, thank God.
I mean, and how awful does it feel to be Ben Simmons?
Oh, yeah.
She used to date Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm sure she was major upgrade. But yeah, it's good. It's always good when I'll give Kendall Jenner and Devin Booker credit. They haven't like done anything public. Hey, I hope they're married and live happily ever after. I don't care. They're fine. In my book, I don't need to hear about Kim getting married again. Like, oh, I wonder if this one will work out. Probably not like the other 7, idiot. A little bit from the Euros. Nothing incredibly exciting. Group games are over Wednesday, and so the weird thing with the Euros. So you have 24 teams, or I think something like that. So obviously the top 2 in each group advance, but then some of the third place teams also do because they bring all the third place teams in together to a different pool and pick the top third place. Not pick, but statistically the top third place teams will then go on to the knockout stage as well. So a lot of these games actually mean a lot of things for everybody. I mean, I'll probably watch a little bit of England and the Czech Republic today, not because, I'll watch it because I want England to lose, but that's whatever. They tied Scotland. Scotland should have won. If Scotland would have beat England, I would have shown up to this podcast with my blue face paint from Braveheart. Yeah. And in a good story, which is, this is awesome that it happened this way, but Denmark basically was playing yesterday. They were playing Russia. Even though they were a third place, even though I said third place teams can make it, they were pretty much done for. If they tied or lost, they were out, blah, blah. They'd win by so many goals. They won 4-1 yesterday over Russia. And 3 of the goals, and I'm not religious or anything like that, but I've when D. Gordon hit that home run after the Miami pitcher died. I think there's something out there that whether it's forces of good or evil or if it's aliens, I don't know. But so 3 of the goals were insane, and so they're moving on. That's awesome. They're going to get killed, but that's awesome. And then I think I think that'll be it for today.
That's it.
Unless you want to do the 1 minute debate, or we'll just kind of, instead of debating it, we'll kind of talk about it real quick. So, what do you think is the better job, Ohio State or Alabama?
Is it Alabama or Michigan?
Did I put Michigan?
You put Michigan.
Oh no.
Ohio State or Alabama?
Yeah. That's the one. That was because that's a big question. And Alabama and Ohio State are different. I don't think you could throw Clemson into this situation because it's a very different situation with them being in the ACC.
This is football, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking, well, when you put Ohio State and Michigan, I thought you meant basketball.
Oh, okay.
Because that was where they're both kind of legitimate right now or something. But for football, Ohio State or Alabama, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you can't throw Clemson in because they're more of the new age, not a lot of history.
And they play in the ACC, which, let's be honest, it's the easiest conference to play. Not the easiest conference, but between let's not go all Power 5. Let's be real. The Pac-12 and the Big 12 are pretty damn bad. But
that's fair.
Yeah, but it's just not on the same level as the SEC and the Big 10.
Yeah. I don't know, because Alabama has I think a more current history. I'm not saying that Ohio State doesn't. They both have kind of the same history wise, length. But I think that a lot of Alabama's allure is Nick Saban and his ability to coach and his ability to recruit and put out players and everything. And I'm not saying that the next Alabama quarterback or coach won't be able to do that, but a lot of it, I think, runs through Saban himself. So if you're saying both jobs are open, which one am I taking? I would say Ohio State because Day is still new, or O'Day is still new. I still have the big name of Ohio State, but I don't have all of the resources and the ability to recruit like Nick Saban does.
O'Day? Coach O'Day?
Yeah, Coach Day, whatever.
Ryan Day?
I said Day, and then I corrected it to O'Day. I knew I was right the first time, whatever.
I'm not making fun of you. The only place my mind goes to when I think of a question like this is like physically and mentally, what will happen to me if I have a bad season?
True. That's
I
true.
think I think in Ohio at Ohio State, because there's like football or because there's basketball and like there's Columbus and there's different like in Alabama,
They
it
live
is
for football.
Alabama football.
Yeah.
Like as much good as Nick Saban has done, if for some reason, maybe not this year, but maybe this year or like in the next one of these next years, they go like 6-6 or like 5-7. Like they love Nick Saban, but if that happens, they will hate him and run him out of town and probably physically try and hurt him. So I am staying as far away from that as I possibly can. The only thing I will say about Alabama, and this might also just be because it's in the South and people literally die to protect secrets in the South, but like I do think that you can get away with a lot more things at Alabama that you can't get away with at Ohio State. But I still think that even if we did go 5-7, and I think I would still be alive after that season if I was at Ohio State. If I was in Alabama, I would probably be in the back of a truck in like a lubie oil Penn Station place in Alabama. So
Right.
I think that'll do it. We will eventually do our Mount Rushmore of chocolate, but we are going not long, but one of our probably the longest one in the last 3 episodes. So,
we're back to our old timer.
No, not quite yet. We would still have about 25 minutes in the old timer.
Well, the old timer we would go to like 145. But like our average, like when we were just getting through everything and we were done without any interruptions, it was 120.
I think you're exaggerating.
Go back and look.
All right. Well, we will let you know. Did you have another day this week or no? You said you're out of town.
I could probably record tomorrow if you want to release it Thursday after work. I get home around 3:30.
Yeah, you know what? Just let me know, and if I'm around, we can do it. And if I'm not, doesn't really matter, and then we can record it next week. I don't know why we're talking like this. I haven't stopped the live show yet.
Oh well.
Any last words, Tom?
Skodogs, baby, you already know. Think about maybe getting a Skodogs flag that I can switch in and out with Jets country. You know what I'm saying? Skodogs.
No, so see what you need is you need to put we're still live, so this is great. You need to put the Jets like up a little higher and like stretch it out so it's like a real square, it's not hanging at all. And then you need like I have in my background. See, I have my Manchester United scarf. You need a scarf to go right there of your favorite soccer team.
Scarf.
We're gonna find you. I tell you that's what we're gonna do in the fall. We're also gonna find you a soccer team.
Well, I used to watch soccer because we watched it in Italian class all the time, but like Italian soccer is not the best.
You're gonna pick a favorite EPL team, and we're gonna go with that this year. Once again, still live, but
fine by me.
See everyone later.